My name is Watson Azu. I will convener of the annual London Political Summit and Award, which we started putting together since 2016. And we'll be running it year in, year out. This is the 8th session of this award program and political dialogue and discourse. And I have the privilege of having one of the great personalities, political personalities, that's helping to shape my political rethinking in the UK since ever we met, and he became the parliamentary representative of our great city, Peterborough City. I'm a Peterborough, by the way. To have Honourable Paul Bristow, Member of Parliament representing Peterborough City, as our great host at this beautiful Parliament. I will now hand over to the section's moderator, who is going to ensure that we follow the program and do what is needed to do this morning, afternoon. It's my humble pleasure to introduce one of our conveners. She actually supported me when we started this program in 2016 and has stood by me all the way. Whatever little way she can, she helps to support this summit going forward. She's no other person than His Excellency Professor Pauline Long. Professor Pauline Long.
And welcome to this amazing historic building. And can I just say it's an absolute honor to be part of this organization. I'm proud to be part of this organization that promotes good governance and peace across our continents. Following protocol, but I'm ready to hand over to the chair to give an address, and Professor Kishan, if you can give us an address, and I'm sure after that we will have Honourable Paul Bristow addressing us.
Thank you for coming today. And before I introduce my very good friend, Paul Bristow, the Member of Parliament for Peterborough, I'd like to say a couple of words just in regards to what he does in Parliament. He's the PPS to Michelle Donlan, who is the Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology. He is a very successful man before entering Parliament as well, run a very, very good big PR firm in the medical industry, etc. And so he's one of the few rarities in Parliament who's been successful before coming into Parliament. So he's a great pleasure to welcome here today, and a real stalwart of various communities, a man that works very, very hard in Peterborough, a real local MP, as well as doing things in Westminster, which is very hard to come by nowadays. So it's a pleasure to have you here today, Paul, and thank you for hosting us as well, because your support for the African community, for the Asian community, and I've seen firsthand in Peterborough what you do. So thank you, and after he speaks, I'll be addressing you on a couple of matters. But first of all, I'd like to introduce Paul Bristow. Thank you, Paul.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you here to my place of work, the House, the Palace of Westminster. It's always a pleasure to welcome people into this very historic building. So many important things have happened here, so many world historical changing events have taken place here. And so that's why I always feel very passionate about using this place as a forum for good. And the London Political Summit, here to talk about people, politics, power, but most importantly, trade and investment. This is a time for good, and this is a meeting for good, and so it's my absolute pleasure to be able to welcome you all here today. What you're doing today is incredibly important, because what it does, in my mind, it focuses the efforts of decision makers and politicians like me, and points very clearly to the continent of the next century, the coming decades. It's got to be Africa. Africa is where the world economy is going to continue to grow. It's where the biggest amount of growth, the largest amount of growth will come from, the largest amount of wealth and the largest difference it will make to the people of Africa themselves. There's lots of misconceptions about this place, lots of misconceptions about this continent, and it's important for me to be here today and talk about some of those. You know, as I say, it's going to be the continent of the future where we have growing trade, growing investment, and for countries like the UK, we need to be a part of that and part of that. And the Commonwealth is an important mechanism which allows us to do that. I'm not here to speak for very long. This is your meeting, this is your conference. But I just wanted to say at the outset, of course, a huge welcome to you all. It's a pleasure to be able to host you all here today. But secondly, as I say, most importantly, the eyes of politicians like me have to be on places with the most potential. And Africa, my friends, and the opportunity for trade, relationships, is paramount in my mind. So thank you very much indeed for being your host today. It is an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to participating in the discussions later today.
I think the order of proceedings, right, so we have a special guest as well today, the Right Honourable Jonathan Ashworth, MP, who is the Shadow Cabinet Minister and Shadow Paymaster General, and very senior ranking Labour politician in the room with us today. He is being given a special award today. And
I am the Member of Parliament, and although we perhaps had different political outlooks, we've always been good friends, and we've always worked hard on bringing communities together. And I'm also pleased to be on the platform with Paul, who represents Peterborough, which many of you will know is a very diverse part of the United Kingdom. And it's important that you have here politicians of all the different political parties to show that this is a cross-party event which commands cross-party support. I just want to make a couple of remarks on behalf of my city, Leicester. And many of you will know Leicester. Many of you will know that Leicester is a richly diverse city where we are immensely proud of the contribution of different Commonwealth heritage citizens, of different African heritage citizens. My own constituency is perhaps best known for its Gujarati communities, but we're also immensely proud of those communities who have come from different parts of Africa and indeed the Middle East and other parts of the country as well, over many, many years, the city of Leicester. And one of the things that I've always strived to do as a Member of Parliament in Leicester is to work with all of our communities to deal with all of the different issues, and there have been some very difficult issues in recent times, particularly for those communities who have come to Leicester because of issues, humanitarian issues in their own countries as well. And it is important, therefore, that events like this continue to build those bonds of friendship and that you work with members of Parliament on these issues which are very, very, very delicate and for our constituents. And of course, that perhaps brings me to the ongoing situation in the Middle East, and I'm not going to make any specific comments on that, only to say that when things like this are happening, it's even more important that members of Parliament have good relationships with the various different communities on the ground, and that you feel that you can come and speak to your members of Parliament and raise your concerns, your thoughts, your contributions, and insights with your members of Parliament, and your members of Parliament are in a position to take those issues up on your behalf. But today isn't about what's happening in the Middle East. Today is a broader agenda. I want to say how pleased I am that so many of you here in the House of Commons, how that we want to work with you and your organisation on the issues that you are talking about today. And I wish you a very, very successful conference, and have a great day.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I have the privilege and honor to introduce our keynote speaker, someone I did call entrepreneurial government, that set the pace in Nigeria as the governor that runs one of the states in Nigeria with a private or a state-owned airline and a very magnificent state partnership 5-star hotel. I don't think there's more than 2 or 3 governors in Nigeria that has achieved such prospect in Nigeria as of today. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me as welcome His Excellency, may I add the honor, Ambassador Dr.
Our chairman, our chief host, our parliamentarians, Your Excellency, the High Commissioner from Sierra Leone to the UK, Your Excellency, our governor, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, our coordinator for this session today. Let me especially welcome, on behalf of all our guests, the coordinator of the Commonwealth Business Forum in the UK, distinguished guest, my dear wife, that Her Excellency Martha Odom-Emmanuel, the progenitor of FEREP in Nigeria, in Akwa Ibom, in order to bring back the youths, the girl child, and also cater for the downtrodden. Let me thank you sincerely, our chairman and our host, for this opportunity again this year. It couldn't have been a better time for us to talk about peace than now. We're over, well over, I think, 34 countries across the globe right now. It's in one crisis, tumultuous condition or the other. And let me also appreciate the fact that we cannot talk about investment, trade and investment, and where Africa is going to be tomorrow without discussing peace. Because even in Africa, there are some countries today, I think we still remain one of the few continents that you still wake up in the morning, you hear of a military coup. I think it's something that we really need to look into. And let me also start by saying that President Obama, in his address to United Nations in September 2011, stated that peace is hard, but we know that it is possible. It is very hard, but we know it is possible. So I fully believe this statement. Peace is hard, but we can actually achieve and sustain it. I know, number one, they will tell you charity begins at home. We look at Nigeria today, then we look at Africa as a whole. I know the European Union, we have African Union as well. But here, peace will go beyond the absence of war to where I call, if we can harmoniously coexist as a people and as members of Commonwealth, I think we can achieve much more than where we are today. Coming back home to Nigeria, we have well over 371 ethnic groups. That alone will tell you the dialects cannot be less than that as well, 371. That can tell you in terms of religious crisis. That will also let you know in terms of cultures and a whole lot of things that can actually mark a tumultuous past. But a lot of insurgencies, tribal sentiments, and religious tensions have been there as well in Nigeria. Then back to Akwa Ibom State before I hand it over to my professor successor. When I came into power in 2015, I shared this last year. It would have been very difficult for us to move ahead if we did not discuss peace. And it might interest you to know that in the grassroots level, very minor things could actually trigger tension. And we needed to go back to grassroots to identify what are those minor issues that trigger tension in the state, where the men of the underworld were just having a field day. Nightlife was almost gone, a whole lot of things. We just discovered that it was because of political inclusion. So we needed to let people know that democracy must bring participants by the grassroots level. So we restructured how we played party politics, from nomination at the grassroots level, from the ward level, from the chapter level, up to the state level. I think that gave us a whole lot of inclusiveness. People started believing that at least they are carried along. So the tension that used to actually be clouded, especially at the nomination level, when party nominations and party structures are being set, got reduced drastically. And then we also tried to include the diaspora. We had a situation where it was like people at home versus people in the diaspora. We said, no, we are all working towards the same goal. Can we work together? I think we needed to demonstrate this also, engaging the diaspora, and we made a move by trying to tell one of the former presidents of the diaspora wing of the state, come and join the government, and also have a test of what it means to actually run a democratic government in a setting of a developing economy. So I want to say here, first and foremost, peace flourishes when the people are empowered, when the people are involved, when the people are recognized. And also you notice that the welfare and participation or inclusion of all citizens, whatever the tribe, the gender, or religious affiliations, play a crucial role in sustaining peace. I remember on April 27, 2016, the United Nations General Assembly and the Security Council substantively adopted a lot of resolutions. So the question now is, where did all those resolutions take us to? So much. And as I mentioned, I don't want to be specific, but honestly, we can determine the impact that all nations are facing for just absence of peace in over 34 countries across the globe. The impact across. Let me not even go to the recent ones. I don't want to actually be specific, as I said. Look at the impact of Russia and Ukraine on the economy, with the rest of the things across. Every single person is facing the impact. So at times we just try to pretend as if, oh, it's happening in this continent. It doesn't affect us. We have come to a conclusion now that the entire world is a global village. And what that means is, whoever controls the political power controls the economic power. Anywhere. Control the political power, then you control the economic power. What that calls for is, whoever we give the political power to must represent the desire of the people, must also show capacity to actually run and maintain the welfare of the people, must also have the capacity to look at the welfare of the people and then bring people also together. So added to regular underpinnings, war, unrest, and the rest of them. I don't think in most cases we consider that. In a country that I come from, so many things come into play when we are trying to, elect who becomes a president. I think the area we shift from so much of my political party to so much of who can actually do the job will also help to actually bring peace wherever we are. Because a lot of people seem neglected. A lot of people seem, forgotten. The poverty and inequality, socioeconomic exclusion, and democratic misinterpretation of all require today involvement of the people and the procedure we use in getting and influencing power. The wealth and well-being of nations and the level of happiness among population, which fall within the administrative purview of policies and power, are verifiably the fundamental basis for sustaining peace today. And I want us to also understand that no matter what, power and politics decides who gets what and who pays for it. It decides if a nation goes to war or achieves or maintains peace at any cost, depending on who is the leader. Power and politics decide how high taxes are and what programs get funded, and whether one drug is legal but another is illegal. We see that everywhere. To some countries, depending on who is in power. Something you wouldn't even let go in your country. Another country, another community is trying to legalize it. And the impact of that in the peace, can actually affect so many. So, power and politics decide how the pie is divided, or any change in its size and shape for the interest of common good of the people. Power and politics decide what is subsidized and what is heavily taxed. Power and politics are the principal determinants of sustainable peace, because if it is in this realm, government and governance, that virtually all decisions are taken, then in that case, we must look at it very well. Power takes many forms, but fundamentally implies the ability to get people to do something they would not otherwise do, to the benefits of the entire society. So we need to look at this in Africa very well. I know wherever you go to, people count the enormous resources in Africa, in Congo, in Nigeria, in the Cameroon, Sierra Leone, everywhere. But we keep always talking because of the enormous that is invested in power. So there's actually at times abnormal use of power. Because if power are determinants of all these things I've listed, there could be an abuse. And what is abuse? Combination of two words: abnormal use. You use the power well, certainly there will be development. You use the power wrongly, you combine abnormal and use, you have an abuse of power. And once there's an abuse of power into the wrong direction, into the wrong person, into the wrong group, certainly peace will be disrupted, whether you like it or not. It is important that the right people are the ones voted into positions of power. Politics is scary to a lot of people. It takes up time, full days, this. But I always say something, especially coming back home to Africa. If all those who have what it takes to hold power and run power for the benefits of the common man and everybody, if they all run away, politics is scary. Politics in the murky waters of politics. Who are those that will clean the murky waters? You see that they will still continue to be where we are today. So this is also a platform to call on the people. Let's begin to see a lot of professionals. Let's begin to see people of high level integrity. People that won't mind. Please, there's no how you come in. They won't want you to come in. They will try to block you. They will try to blackmail you. But if you overcome the blackmail and consistently we keep getting the people who know what to do, who have what it takes, trust me, within a short period, we'll get it right. But the problem is once those with white collar just come in a little, with one blackmail they run away. They get scared of what politics is all about. In that case, it's a deliberate attempt not to get the right people into where we want these people to be. So whatever the form or shape of power, we must try to get the structures to work. We must try to get certain things to work. And for this, in Africa especially, we must look at education, the social justice, education, the welfare of the people. And what did we do? Even at the subnational level, we also noticed this. In Akwa Ibom today, we try to look at, first of all, key things. To attract investment, to attract people, we had the slogan, come, live, work in our state. So if you want to come, live and work, and you are free to live anywhere, first thing we needed to look at was the healthcare system. In every federal constituency, we made sure within few minutes, you have access to at least secondary healthcare system, where you can now get a referral to tertiary medical institution, and then probably to quaternary institution, which we also have. We also needed to look at the educational system. And today we've moved from there to building what we call a skill set university, which we are starting as a skill acquisition center, trying to collaborate with universities to get that done, to actually pick people, get people engaged, get people to work, because you see, as more as you do this, a whole lot will happen. And I'm also trying to mention here in the continuity, because we believe government is continuing. My successor just comes in with his Arise agenda and start thinking of food security, because that's also what we've ignored in Africa. If we don't also get this aspect of security, peace will elude us. Food security is absolutely very important in Africa. It might not even threaten as other crises threaten us today. So we believe we must also do that. Then the legitimacy of the structures, systems that we build around. Today, what processes actually bring in a leader in Africa? If that process is questionable, if that process is not considered transparent, accountable, and legitimate enough, there will continue to be crisis. And we must also take time to guarantee safety of lives and property. That's where we can guarantee investment and a whole lot into Africa and into Nigeria. It also means that government must be seen to be fair, without which the people will be unsatisfied or dissatisfied. If government is not seen to be fair, with power and politics, peace will always be threatened if we cannot achieve this. Peace takes time and effort. It takes a whole lot of time, takes a whole lot of effort. There will be setbacks. There are going to be errors. There will be oppositions, and there will be difficult days in order to achieve peace. However, as previously stated, all projects have their initiations, they have their incubation, they have their manifestation phases. Peace as a project, peace must be seen as a project. Peace must be pursued as a project, which the people, in this case, will also go through these stages in order to be achievable and sustainable. You can achieve peace, but you cannot sustain peace, then there's going to be a problem. We must achieve peace, we must also sustain peace, especially in Africa. It is therefore tenable for me to say here that to achieve sustainable peace, politics and power must deliberately transition to a system that is inclusive of the people through participation and engagement with government and governance, and grounded in international human rights laws and standards. And going back again, where our coexistence will really, peaceful coexistence will really be something that we must look at. Coming back again to illustrate in order to conclude within Africa, we need to do a whole lot. We need to have a look at the African Union, the Commonwealth. If the Commonwealth nations come together, how do we actually, the last time I mentioned this, that we keep talking of free movement of capital. I know it will be difficult for us to achieve free movement of labor. We keep talking about the global nature of the entire world and the rest of them. But what role do we play in actually helping out each other when they're in difficulties? What role do we play? What role does Commonwealth play to other developing nations? Because they must also be seen to be helping. Because at times, a whole lot of crisis is because of social injustice, social imbalance, lack of education, lack of social systems, lack of structures, lack of systems to actually run certain aspects of government. How do we build this strong enough to enable other people achieve this? We need to also look at that, even under Commonwealth. Commonwealth existed long before the European Union, but now it seems the European Union is actually more economically empowered than the Commonwealth. Why can't we also use the Commonwealth to empower the developing nations? Yeah. We need to actually do more of that. I keep telling people, take for example Nigeria, with almost 200 million people, if anything happens in Nigeria today, the whole of West Africa is gone. So we must do everything possible to make sure we have peace, we sustain peace. And how do we do this? There must be equity, fairness, justice in what, and we are not only achieving it, we must be seen to have achieved that. And then, and then also do everything possible to have that done. We must also look at the systems and structure in which we also elect our leaders. It's still a major problem. It's still what is a loading piece. That is still the cause of the problem. When people are not happy, when the system is not transparent enough, when there's no accountability, it will also breed a whole lot of disruptions. It will also breed a whole lot of conflicts. These are some of the things that where people, politics and peace will come to play. Back again, we must look for people that will enhance and sustain this peace. People that have the capacity, those are the people who call the leaders, those are the people who will elect into the offices, and then we must also look at the social security system where we try to make sure we empower people, we empower the weak nations, we empower weaker people. Even in a global nation, let's look at structures and systems that can actually empower. I know the main talk everywhere is about corruption. And what structures and systems are we actually building and supporting each other to actually stem against this vice that is a problem everywhere. I think there must be a handshake somewhere within the developed nations, the developing nations, to get few things done. There are some other threats and causes that cannot be tied to this, but these are the basic ones. If we can achieve the basic, threats, I believe we can also do a long way to actually look at the bigger ones without being specific on each of these countries. But I'm sure some of these crises we have in some of these nations are avoidable if we look at the basic things like even infrastructure in some of these countries can be a major problem. Take, for example, there are a lot of countries still today, they can't boast of electricity. A young man who wants to take on a vocation cannot even barb and also earn a living, cannot even do a menial job to earn a living, cannot even do anything to earn a living. So we need to look at how do we support systems? How will our support systems, as we come together as a people, as Commonwealth, as African Union, as European Union, as united, everything that we can call united, come together to make sure they support those who are less united, to make sure they are also united and also work together and coexist. In all this, I believe peace will really help us to achieve a lot more. And I just want to say here that Nigeria, exercising power, Nigeria as a nation with a rich historical context is committed to this cause as of today. We've gone through a lot as a country, we've gone through a lot as a people. But for us to stand together today as a country, I believe we have a common cause. And we must work hand in hand with our global counterparts to promote peace, not only with our borders, but across the world. Thank you, and may peace be with us all.
I'd like to now welcome our summit chair, Professor Kishan Divani. I'm sure there are some certificates that needed to be handed out. So thank you so much.
Award Jonathan Michael Graham Ashworth as the Parliamentarian of the Year 2023. Congratulations.
Great. Very humble to achieve this award. Thank you very much. It's about being able to speak truth to power. It's about being able to make a case for justice, for equality, for peace, as we've been hearing back. And if we do not have parliament, if we do not have democracy, we are nothing. So it is the greatest honour to be parliamentarian of the year. So thank you very much indeed.
Meantime, I would love to hear from the present governor of the Akwa Ibom State. So it would be great if Your Excellency could say a few words as well.
It's a privilege to be here and to participate at the 8th London Political Summit, reviewing the people, the politics, and the power, how we can use all of this to sustain peace. Listening to my boss, who just spoke, I think he had captured everything that we believe we can do to sustain peace, particularly in Africa, and in this case, in our state. He had laid a good foundation in terms of balancing infrastructural development, addressing issues at the grassroots level, and trying to run an all-inclusive government. These are some of the issues that raises a lot of question when some tribe, some part of the nation or state or community feels left out, and when development is fixated one particular area, or when government appointments or whatever you look at it doesn't balance the act. All of these are agitations, and when you have like the Niger Delta in Nigeria, where the resources come from and where they're not developed, So people look back and say, why are we in all of this? So they just prefer, well, we will let you also enjoy the wealth. So for sustainable peace, it's important that we bring everyone together to the table. And I think that's what has been captured in this lecture today. For us in Akwa Ibom, we consistently, over the period, build on what previous administration have done as a state in Nigeria. I want to say that we're one of the best states in terms of transitioning, because government after government, we have had a focus and we've built on what previous governments have done. And this is all across the state. The immediate past government had done a lot of work on infrastructural development, like you've heard, the hospitals, the road infrastructure, and all of opening up businesses, Ibom Air, and he opened up the state economy by land, sea, and air, so as to make it easy for people to come. In our case, we have decided to continue to focus on food security, which is agriculture. We use that, we're developing through what we call the Arise Agenda, 5 focal points that addresses, each of the focal points addresses the SDG goals, that, as it were, agriculture, food security. Then we look at rural development, which is key to us. For us as a people in the state, we want to focus tremendously at this point on our rural communities, because again, that's where the agitation comes from. And then you want to stem the rural-urban migration if you provide basic amenities that they need. We have 31 local government areas, and we believe we can touch all of these local government areas and try to create them into small towns, as it were. And that's what we're focusing on with rural development. Then continue with the infrastructural maintenance. Because again, it's one thing to have all of this infrastructure in place, another thing to put in place a very robust maintenance system that many years after you can come into this building and still see it very well maintained, has a whole lot of history behind it that you're so very proud of. But if it wasn't maintained, you wouldn't all be here today. So we want to lay emphasis on infrastructural maintenance, and of course security, which my predecessor also talked about, to be able to ensure that we manage security, work with the security agencies, provide information on real time so that we can track crimes and all of that. Then of course education. And he also mentioned it in the keynote address, because without education, of course, we don't have anything. And for us, again, we focus on education at the primary level, because we believe that if you put education in place at the primary level and lay the right foundation, you'll be able to catch them young, as they say. We're doing a lot. We're trying to build model primary schools that will, first of all, make the environment very conducive for these kids and make them want to go to school. It starts with the environment. You now look at their curriculum, you bring in your, let them also be ICT friendly from the beginning. These are all the things we're trying to do. We're just 5 months old in office, but we have a clear vision where we want to go. We have timelines attached to the things that we're doing. And right now we're focused on providing infrastructure in each of the 31 local governments. So these are the things we're doing. And I believe that once there's development, once people have what to do, once they can be gainfully engaged and employed, a man who has work and has something doing will think less of creating issues for those of us that really don't that are really doing well. So while we focus on developing the urban areas, let's ensure that we develop the rural areas. I think sustainable peace will be achieved with equity, justice, and fairness. I'd like to thank you for having me here today, and we look forward to having a good time. And I thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Greetings from President Bio, Sierra Leone. I must say that this is one of the best speeches I've heard so far as politics and stability and community and people are concerned. I agree absolutely entirely with all that you say. Perhaps what I would want to add is to say that when we talk about people and communities and societies and sustainable peace, sometimes we need to look beyond our own borders. We just had our elections in Sierra Leone, in June actually, and as I talk, we have a peace dialogue taking place in Sierra Leone. What I think we need to be thinking about as Africans and in Africa is a united force that will be able to say yes if we believe in yes, to say no if we believe in no. We all are familiar with the spate of coups that are going on now. And the peace dialogue in Sierra Leone is taking place because the opposition did not accept the result of the elections. And that threatens peace, that threatens stability. But if people from beyond our borders say we are going to put a travel ban on your politicians because the elections were not transparent, we are going to freeze your accounts because you're in the elections were not transparent, that threatens peace. And we in Africa are not in that position yet to say we will put a travel ban on your politicians. We will freeze your accounts in our country because we have not grown yet in a way to achieve that status that allows us to say these things so that they are meaningful, so that they are concrete, so that they carry force. So what does this mean? It means that we as Africans, if we are going to have peace in our countries, we need to work together. We need to have a common agenda. We need to know what we want. We want to be able to stand together and say no. And Chief, otherwise, I agree entirely with all that you said. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. In this room that are very successful people from the business community, and I'd like to sort of highlight that and speak about how your experience of building bridges between communities, for example, I have a president of a temple here today, I have people who are community pharmacists here, I have people from the church community, I have people from all over, I have people who have successful businesses and companies as well, so it'd be good to hear all your views, etc. as well. And if you do have anything else that you'd like to add, then please just raise your hands and I'll sort of point you out and do so. So, if you would like to say something, Prof.
On Fred AI, and ask Fred AI about today's meeting. And the AI true up, the Aqua Ibon really means Almighty God. Is that true? Okay. The reason I said that is because the entire coronation of Queen Elizabeth II that we just had, I mean, the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II and coronation of King Charles III was mediated by one Odutang. Will that sound familiar to you? So he came from the state of God Almighty. That's why he was able to design a software that controlled the entire universe. I'm just agreeing to what you said about education, because you never know what greatness will come out of a kid that you put in a school today. So I salute you for the work you're doing in education. What I will really be pleading from you, and also ask for more clarification, is how the universal basic education is being accelerated in the rural areas, because there is no child in Akwa Ibom that is not capable of equaling the same heights as the software that was generated by one of your sons that is now working for NASA, another one that sent the asteroid to the moon. So how are you preparing the next generation of Odutangs that will change the world and become real scientific ambassadors of your state? Thank you.
The compliments. Right now, the state continues to run free and compulsory education for all our young people, and we, in the rural communities, as we set up the model schools, we power them with solar power and make sure they have computers, they have what they now, not laptops now, what is it called? Tablets, yes. And the previous administration had introduced those tablets, and we continue with that. And that's how you connect them to the world. And you'll be shocked and surprised how these kids know, even in the rural communities, how to use those. They will even unlock your phone regardless of the codes you put in there. So if we keep encouraging them and in those rural communities and connect them to the world through those the ICT, then you know that we can raise many more Akwa Ibomites and Odutans who can get involved from wherever they are. Because again, like my boss said, the world has now become a global village. People earn money sitting at home and just working. So we believe we can get that done, and we're doing it. Thank you so much.
Is this. I know that around the world, everywhere around the world, the focus is always on leadership. And to my mind, when I looked at the last election in Nigeria, I think we almost got into some serious trouble. We almost got into the serious trouble because the focus of everybody was just on leadership. And if you look at what we do in Nigeria, everybody says the leaders is just the leaders, the leaders. Nobody talks about the followership. Now, my understanding of the political terrain is that the ordinary people in Nigeria have no understanding of what democracy means. And in Nigeria, democracy simply means my man wins. And if he doesn't win, then there has to be fire. I just want to say to you, well done for all that you've done, but to the current governor, what will you be doing in your own state to educate people about democracy? Because democracy is the, they say is the definition is the government by the people and for the people. But where you have a situation where people are intolerant, that's number one, completely intolerant. And this is all over the country, not just any part of Nigeria. It's a major issue, and that's a major threat that could actually, because all it takes for war to start is for somebody to start killing other people, and then, there's a back and, forth. So we need to look at this. Thank you.
I've served, he brought me graciously into office, served under him, I've been mentored by him. I know the areas, the things he articulated while he was in office for the state, and I knew that everything he did was for the benefit of the state, so it's easier to continue in that direction. And that's one of the things I believe we need to learn as a people. Followership, like you have raised. A lot of us don't want to follow, we just want to step in there, and we get in there, we bring our vision, you don't tie to the overall goal of the people. And then how do you educate the people on democracy? You just need to get them to participate, put power back to them, like we say back power to the people. For us in Akwa Ibom, what I do right now is that when I got into office, I did something novel. We got all of the wards to appoint personal assistants from their ward to the governor, because we wanted them to have that sense of belonging. The second thing we've done, all of the projects that we're doing in 31 local government areas are projects that the local government people themselves, we call them stakeholders, have picked for us to execute. So I don't force projects on them. The benefit of that is that they will own the project. It is their project. They wanted the project. So gradually you're getting the people involved, in my opinion, and we hope, like you said, followership will be right. Again, you can't get it right, but we continue, and I believe that as we continue, we will get there.
If you listen to my keynote address, I talked about systems and structures to support what other organs are doing. The reasons for agitation, not only His Excellency the High Commissioner of Sierra Leone to the UK just mentioned something right away, that after the election, the opposition refused to accept the result. And this permeates through so many other systems in Africa. So the question now is, we need that support system. And that support system can only come if we strengthen the African Union. If we don't strengthen African Union, we can't have that support system. If we wait for people outside Africa to come and set up those structures to stand, based on what I call environment-induced diagnostic procedure of what Africa stands for, based on our socio-cultural systems, it will not stand. Take, for example, in Nigeria, all of us could have accepted that, look, INEC, you must, as the chairman promised us, if everybody could sit at home and be watching the result dropping on their phones, I'm sure everybody would have accepted that result, no matter what happened. So, keeping to those promises, that still goes back to who do we appoint to hold power, which I said in my keynote speech. We must appoint people of integrity. You walk the talk, and then people will trust you, then people will believe you. I think that's where we need to. No scientific method will work that. It's a clear decision. We must sit back as a people and say, this is what we want to do. And that can only be done if we strengthen Africa Union. As I said, all other ones that came after us, today now they are running on a single currency. Our own, I don't think we even have a single economic goal as Africans. Thank you.
So I started I started my vaccination service back in 2020 after my uncle passed away from COVID, and then I just thought we need to do something to protect society and our community to improve the health benefits of the local population. So since 2020 I've been running flu vaccination clinics across all the temples locally, which I think one of the presidents is over there on the other side. So that, up in a minute as well. Yeah, so that we can all just try and improve the lives of the local population, because I think having good health and promoting health and well-being is key for everyone to succeed and also just move forward in life, I think. So that's what I've been doing on my half to help society. Thank you.
Who is the president of the Wheels and Temples, one of the largest Hindu temples in the UK, and they do a lot of charity work across the UK. Maybe, Mr. Karai, would you say a couple of words about what you do as a temple and a couple of the things that you've been doing? Or maybe one of your sons can do so, that'll be very good. Yeah. Russia, maybe
And why it's really important to support the youth at our temple and what we do as a community is they're the new generation. So without supporting the young people, without giving a platform for our youngsters to thrive, to get them setting up running businesses, to help teach social skills, to help give them a platform to stay out of trouble. Because it's difficult in this country and other countries to stay out of trouble. So we provide a service that helps anybody and everybody. Anybody and everybody is welcome at the temple.
Advising the Prime Minister on his BME engagement and engagement with various communities, who owns one of the most successful PR and marketing firms in the UK. As I said, we won't talk politics, so I will not criticise you for being in the Prime Minister's home. but Manish Tiwari, if you could say a couple of words about your sort of work with the community, because I know you just recently run a marathon for charity.
Oh yeah, so that was on Sunday.
Yes.
Honorable Governor and respected members here, I just wanted to say, while we are here today, and we heard about what you have done, which is so remarkable, because I've been to Africa. I've just been there a few weeks back. Africa, and I could see firsthand the challenges which are facing Africa, not the least the migration between countries and the level of disparity. So while you have a very prosperous continent full of resources, just because it's not managed well, you have such disparity in terms of income and poverty, which is appalling, which is creating crime. So I'm really, really happy that people like you, you've given your state such a structure, such a way of governance that is prospering, and it's a beacon of light in a country like Nigeria. I had some questions for you, which I'll ask you later, as to how you manage, how you kind of, in spite of a country which is so volatile in parts, how you manage to keep yourself insulated and continue the growth story. So we'll have the discussion later. But thank you, Kishan, for inviting me. And in terms of what we have in the UK, one of the key pillars that democracy is flourishing and is at the grassroots level is the support given to media and the independence given to media, which is not existing in many parts of the world right now. We have some friends here who run small and successful media operations focused on the community specifically, and they're supported, and I hope you feel the same, that whatever campaigns we do, even from the bigger companies, although the support could be much better and bigger, still the support is there. And I think that's a real good story, that we are able to rejuvenate media at every level, even at the grassroots level, to support democracy, and they're not challenged, they are independent. So, and that's the work I do. I kind of champion the media at every level, including at the grassroots level, from different communities, big and small. And that's what I'm proud of. So when you talk about number 10, it's really trying to bring their attention back to the community exists, because in their minds it's all about Mill Britain, what do you call it? Not Little Britain, but Mill England. And they need to focus, take their focus away from that and look at communities like ours and understand that this is the reality. This is what we are in the present. So thank you very much.
So it's a pleasure for me to be the first black person, being a Nigerian, to set up the first black-oriented TV station. And so we have been trying as much as possible to bridge the gap here in the United Kingdom between the mainstream and our own community. And we have used that platform to engage various communities, and just as Manish says as well, and we'll continue to do that. I'm a mentor, and His Excellency mentioned mentoring. So I'm a former global chairman of Nigerians in the Diaspora Organization, NIDO. And after I finished my service as the chairman and president leading the organization to focus back into home, I then joined the mentoring scheme. And so constantly I'm wearing my mentoring uniform because I mentor people and other people mentor us. So it is key, as just been highlighted, how you can see a former governor and the new governor sitting together, working together. But that is not just the end of it. You mentioned something. Many a times we might see our governors coming together from the beginning. So our prayer really is the way you have portrayed the two of you, may you continue to the end of your term. That is the most important aspect of this. So please, anyhow we can sustain and continue to help our country, our community, please let's do that. We have seen the joy in their faces, and we would like to, Your Both Excellency, request that you keep that momentum, that brotherhood, that leadership, synergy between the two of you has been displayed here in the House of Parliament to continue to the end of your term. That will be our joy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The question for me is, what measures have you taken new governor, what measures have you taken to empower women into leadership and also into politics? Because I'm a politician, and I've been empowered by, the British government realizing the equality of gender equality, and hence everybody is the same. So even in House of Commons, you will see that it's almost 50-50. And in my party, again, it's 50-50. You must make sure. But I haven't seen that happening in Nigeria, which if you look at, we've got 36 states or 37, and we don't have any female governor, right at the top, have we? Maybe deputy, but deputy, you don't really contribute. And when it gets to your turn, you don't go back, So I really want to know, about, a female governor. So, but obviously that wouldn't come from you, but what I want is the measures that you're going to put to make sure that women in Akwa Ibom are, into leadership and into politics, and not just, only young women, but right from the primary schools, secondary schools, yeah.
Questions for each of you. My first question to the former, sir, your keynote was excellent. You spoke a great deal about the measures that are required, solutions, what we need to do. But I note that unlike most of our Nigerian politicians, when they leave office as a governor, they would go to the next stage as a senator and perhaps even consider presidency. But you have done neither. How do we intend to bring these solutions about if you're not in office, sir? And have you considered perhaps becoming the next president of Nigeria? So that's your question, sir. Agriculture. But what I heard you mention earlier, which I picked on, was you spoke about the fact that Ibom Air, which was created by your predecessor, has opened up Akwa Ibom State, for easy access and for people to come in. Akwa Ibom State, as has been mentioned by my boss over there, Dr. Alistair Shirley, has a Christmas carol that happens every year. Most of us of Nigerian descent, whether we're here or in Nigeria, we're fully aware of what happens in Lagos, the experience, and the great stars that come there. And a lot of, stars come to the Ibom Christmas Carol, but we seldom hear of it. So, sir, I was wondering what your plans are to encourage tourism using the Christmas Carol, just as in your neighboring state, Calabar, every 2 weeks in every December, they have the festival that they do, and they have people showing up specifically for that. What are your plans to raise up the Christmas Carol to attract tourism into Akwa Ibom, just as they do next door every year in December? Those are my questions. Thank you.
She asked how come I didn't contest to be a senator after being a chief executive. I think people plot different graphs. Being a chief executive means that you control 3 senatorial districts. Being a senator means you control only 1 senatorial district. So that could answer for yourself which one is higher. So you should be able to plot a proper graph in your political career. That's personal. I mean, it doesn't mean that it's wrong, but that's purely personal. It depends on how you want to plot your graph. Do you want to run for presidency? The answer is yes. Yes. I believe I have all what it takes to be the president of Nigeria, and I should be the right person. And if we must restore and then also rescue Nigeria, we need professionals in politics, not professional politicians. And there are only very few of us who are professionals in politics. And I think running from the pedigree, I think we should be able to. The solution of Nigeria is not as difficult as we make it seem. But knowing how to do the right thing at the right time can make a whole lot of difference. And I think I should be able to do that. Coming back to what the commissioner asked, he said, how come all the countries with democracy, it's not that democracy is wrong, but those we leave to run democracy. In my keynote speech, I said so. I said the right people don't step forward to come into politics. They are afraid. They are afraid of blackmail. They are afraid, white-collar job people. They are afraid of being stamped. But I keep saying so. If we don't just come in at once and clean up these murky waters, will continue to be a problem. Thirdly, a whole lot of African countries, we try to run a borrowed democracy. I'm yet to see a pure African democracy that will match our social structure. If you look at Nigeria, we're running a presidential system of government. I'm not condemning it, it's excellent. But can we tinker a little to also adapt to what our people can cope with? He made mention of a whole lot of infrastructure that were put by the military. Our military ran a different race. A rat and a lizard might be going towards the same direction, but they run differently. They didn't have anybody, no constitution. I mean, you can wake up and just take decision on what to do under the military, but it's not like that under democracy. So to me, democracy remains the best, and no alternative, no option. We must continue with democracy, but we can think a little with, our homegrown constitution that can enable us to and close the gaps where we've identified those gaps. Thank you.
Thank you. So before we cut it short, I'd like to invite the president of the Commonwealth Entrepreneurs Club, where I'm the founder and the chair of it. I'm actually the president. I realize I'm one of your presidents, so I just realize one of my many titles. But it's a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Rafiq. You've been doing some amazing work, and I think it's probably fitting that you give some closing remarks, given the fact that you bring together businesses across the globe, from the Commonwealth in particular. You do a lot of training, so it's good for you to maybe have the closing remarks.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, it's again a great pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I hosted you last time in my office. We did discuss a lot of things. Thank you, my nephew, Kishan, Alistair, Razu, and Excellencies. I'm not a politician, and I'm more concerned about peace. How can we have a peace if children are sleeping hungry? How can a father can sleep? How can a mother can sleep? So my passion, I'm born into an industrial family, so I always think about industry. I always think about small, medium enterprises, because that is my passion. So last 43 years I've been involved in industry. My father was, my great-grandfather was. So the whole idea is that, I've listened to everyone. And if remember, Excellency, you've seen my passion. I talk about something which is possible, which is doable. I've been in Nigeria, I fully understand the issue there. It is not that difficult. When you talk about a mega project, it takes time. But when you talk about small, medium enterprises, seriously, 85% of the companies in anywhere in the world, including UK, are SMEs. What is the problem? Excellency, you are governor there. If you consider your state, and if you just forget about politics for the time being, if you just think of the people who are living out there, their immediate problem is poverty. It is everywhere. The only way you can reduce poverty, alleviate poverty, is by creating jobs. Now, you will ask me, how do we create jobs? Very simple. The only way you can do it, you train people. You go for vocational training centers. Believe me, give them in 3 months, 4 months, give them vocational training. They'll go out, they'll create their own jobs, because the richest man in this country is a plumber. He's got a website, everybody's got a problem, So what I'm saying is that it's not that depressing. I have seen countries, from zero, they've gone so big. But I think we need to be very positive and think of vocational training center, think of skill development, and believe me, you can export as many people in the world. Everyone needs, even England needs people. Lots of people are coming in. So skill development is very important, where you don't have to spend so much money. And I tell you, people will be grateful. Let's think of those people. So peace will automatically, but make sure that those children are not sleeping hungry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Observe all the protocol and continue. I would like to say His Excellencies, and then all protocol observed. The aim here is in terms of education. It's important that we focus on education. What I've done here in the UK is to basically, empower communities. I have been financially helping and supporting communities here in the UK, and I've been helping and supporting them in order for them not to be static, for them to move and create and help and support others at the same time. So we're trying to basically focus on education, leadership, and also maintaining the status quo and understanding that it's important that we educate our young people, our community, and I'm very, very happy to be here, and I've been given a certificate. Thank you so much, Dr. Pauline, and also our Honorable Azul for basically inviting me here. And the aim, like I did say, is in terms of education, and I would like to have a personal meeting with the governor in regard to talk about aims and objectives and how to basically move the young people in Nigeria. And we got so much proposals, investment and allowing Nigeria to basically develop the way it's meant to be developing. And we're here to help and support as diasporans. And if we're allowed to basically do that, we'll basically do more in order to do so. I have actually helped the Niger State. I was the one that actually organized a Niger State governor to come here in the UK just about a week ago, and we've actually proposed so many things to the Niger State governor and the government, and we aim to also do that for Akwa Ibom as well. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Waterproofing Company of the Year 2023, if they could come.
So, Mr. Karai, if you stand between me and the governor. Oh, children, all right. No, it's me. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Congratulations, my friend. Take care. All right. Thank you. No problem, buddy.
Mr. Ravi Patel for Pharmacist of the Year 2023, please.
Congratulations, my friend. Okay. Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Mr. Sam Wolf for Fastest Growing Recruitment Agency 2023, please.
So, thank you very much. Mr. Wolf. Congratulations, my friend. Thank you.
Sam, you're going to set up an office in Peterborough.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Good to visit.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Manish Tiwari for the Changemaker Advertising and Media.
Congratulations, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Global Peace Ambassador Award to His Excellency, Mr. Udom Emmanuel.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Julius Madavio, His Excellency, for the LPSA African President of the Year 2023.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Mrs.
call himself governor, so please.
Oh, yeah, let me present the Paul.
Being the parliamentary host.
The good host.
Thank you. Come on, let's wait for Reese. There he is. He's springing into action. There he is.
Come on, Reese.
This is to Professor Pauline Long for the Best Servant Leader of the Year.
Reese, come on.
Reese.
You're a great start. Professor Pauline Long.
Congratulations. Nice to see you.
We can ask Lady Nikki Emeliki to become Best Community Leader of the Year 2023. Where is she? Here we are. And Mr. How would you pronounce that? Balalete Agusapade, yeah?
Mr. Pade.
Of course, from Togo, yeah. He's representative, the ambassador's representative from Togo.
Yeah.
Would you be able to
Well, let's do
come
ladies.
forward? Let's do ladies.
Congratulations. Good. There you go.
And from the Togo Embassy, please.
Let's see if everybody with the certificate can just stay online. We'll do photo quickly.
This is not good. There's no space.
There's no space.
Yeah, there won't be. They can do that at the gala dinner.
Okay. All right.
Please, just to remind everybody, the gala night on Friday, the trophies for the awards will be given. This is just to show the reference to the House of Parliament and receival of the certificate. The award proper will be on Friday.